Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford.
Howdy, howdy, fuck nut shit sticks. My name is Zachary Patton Garcia. We're going with it, rolling with it.
A living dead girl. Hi, I'm Ian Carlos Crawford, and her opening kill today. Wait, am I doing this right, Zach?
We're going with it. We're just gonna go with it.
And our opening kill today is host of Dunzo and Beyond the Blinds.
I was good to you, Mikey. My name is Troy McEady. Hi.
That was our best impression of a Rob Zombie line, guys. It was just.
I'm sweating. I was put on the spot.
I know.
Yeah.
Ian almost had to say faggot. He was having a real hard time with that one. Welcome to My Bloody Judy. We are here to talk about 2007's Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween. This is. We're almost at the end of our franchise coverage. Me and Ian just watched the movie right before we started recording. Troy, when did you watch this one?
I finished it literally 5 minutes ago.
We did too.
Yeah.
We sat here. I watched it on my phone because I don't have everything set up yet. So watched it on my phone, and
I paid for it.
we bought paid for $3.99 for it. Okay, support indie artists.
Right? Yeah.
I illegally streamed it.
Did you on the Russian
I did.
website? Nonetheless,
Troy, you're the friend I need to text when I'm like, I gotta watch this, but I don't want to pay for it.
he probably could get it for you too. Yeah.
First, I'm not kidding. I've got all the good sites.
Back in the day, I used to be that person. Like, I was like, when I worked at the college, because my boss was like, yeah, if there's nothing to do, watch whatever you want to watch. I don't care. And like, at the time, like, Netflix didn't have as much as it has. So I literally would find every site and I would watch movies that were like in the theater at my computer desk. And I'd be like, I don't care if it gets whatever notice because it's my work computer.
There you go.
I don't care if the FBI breaks my door down.
Troy's got it. Do you know, have you ever seen the TikToks where they say never search yourself on the dark web because you'll find pictures of yourself you didn't know existed? That's Troy McEady. He uploads those pictures, everybody.
I am the dark web.
Very connected with the dark web.
Yeah.
All right, so we've all watched this pretty recently. Let's do overall thoughts. What did you like? I want to know first, when you saw this for the first time, kind of your reaction to it then and your reaction to it now.
Troy, that'd be you because I didn't fully see it till today.
Okay. I actually saw this in theaters. I was really, really, really excited for this one. This was like because I like Rob Zombie movies, so I was really excited to see this. And this is a really formative theater experience for me because I remember going to it was opening night. And this was the time that I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to fuck with an opening night horror movie ever again. Because the theater was wild. Like, I was a Karen that day. Being like, quiet.
Do you not like people to be loud? Ian, you don't like that either, though.
No, Troy, Zach and I were just talking about this because I hate that too, right?
No.
I'm like, no.
On the first watch, I love it. Hoot, holler, get loud, scream. Yes, because I'm going to see it a second time.
No.
And that's my quiet watch.
Because you know what? It's one thing to hoot and holler and have like a Rocky Horror Picture Show moment, but it's another thing for people to be like, she's stupid. Why'd she do that? That's annoying. You're an idiot. Run. I'm like, it's a fucking horror movie. Like, shut up. Anyway.
I like
this movie.
Troy, as always, we are in agreement.
Yes, the besties over here. Meanwhile, I am the teenagers hooting and hollering.
You're the one being like, dumb bitch.
Like, she didn't do that in the original. She didn't do it in the original. Michael Myers doesn't do that.
Troy and I are going out to the ushers in the hallway like, excuse me, there is this Mexican boy who is yelling.
This was my first Halloween movie that I saw in the theaters. So this was I very much am a child that came up in the 2000s. You know, I caught all of the 2000s remakes. Those were all very formative for me, and this was exactly one of those. The franchise was already in my life. I loved it. So when I heard news that this was coming out, I remember they promoted the shit out of this, and
I do remember
up on
being
MySpace. Do you remember?
Yeah.
All over MySpace, and like all of the behind the scenes videos on MTV. I remember that guy. You remember that guy who used to go to all the movie sets? Some MTV guy used to go to all the movie sets. It was basically the Kim Baker of MTV. And he I remember him interviewing Scout Taylor Compton. She's like, I have big shoes to fill, but I'm really excited for it. And she's just young and sweet. And I remember going to see this movie. My dad took me to see it. My dad had taken me recently before that to go see Devil's Rejects, and we sat there about 20 minutes of the movie, and he made me get up in front of everybody, marched me out of the theater, and like we left. And I was humiliated. One of the most embarrassing moments I've ever had. So when we sat down to watch Halloween, I said, just so you know, this is a Rob Zombie movie, and I won't leave this one. If you try to make me leave, I will sit and I will stay. You're not going to, don't do that to me. You can go wait out there. And I got in a lot of trouble for saying that. But we sat there, we watched the movie, and I was mind blown. I could not stop talking about it at school. I had to tell everybody about it. I found the work print version on the internet. I probably gave myself viruses looking for this damn work print version because I had to show everybody, all of my friends, and it was just wonderful. It was wonderful and magical.
I mean, the only thing is when Zach and I were watching Halloween 2, I realized I had seen this like on TV because I was like, wait, doesn't he shoot him in the pool? There's the empty pool and she's sitting there, and Zach was like, that's the Rob Zombie version. So that's the only reason I know that I have seen this on TV, but I probably was probably in the background and I just didn't realize it wasn't the new one. I thought it was like the second one.
Yeah, that's fair. Well,
it doesn't feel like it was so long ago. I mean, it's like,
oh my gosh,
wild that it was like 2007.
Yeah. I feel like even just the other day was the 10th anniversary of the second one, which was 2009, and we're already fucking 2022. Almost 2023, guys. 2023.
So this is 15 years old this year, right?
Don't make me do the math. Don't do that.
How dare you?
I'm a gay. I'm a queer.
We're gay. We don't know math.
Michelle Mabel. So this movie, Ian, I had a feeling that I knew which parts you weren't going to like, but I figured the stuff that was, because when Rob Zombie's good, he's good. And I figured the action, all of the chase scenes, I figured you were going to appreciate those. You will not like the second one. I already know you won't like the second one, but overall,
oh my God, Ian,
how was this? Overall, do you hate it?
Troy.
The second one?
Do you?
It's unwatchable. Well, I wouldn't say that it's unwatchable. No, it's not unwatchable, but it's a terrible movie.
You are a terrible person. Ian, what did you think of this movie?
I definitely didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, and I didn't dislike it as much as I expected to. I thought the Michael stuff is a good idea, but was fucking boring. Like, I was like, when are we getting to the like stuff? When are we meeting Lori? When are we doing a time jump? Like, we spent so much time. And I do think, like, in theory, that's like, I feel like if the three of us were drunk and this hadn't been made, we'd be like, oh, what if they did a Halloween where like we saw Michael, and like that would be cool talking about it when you're drunk or high. But then like in practice, it was like, this is fucking boring. I didn't think she was that great of a Lori.
You're odd. This is fucking ridiculous.
But also
friendships with both of you will end here tonight. Evil dies tonight. Okay.
To be fair, though, they didn't give her like she's only in 45 minutes. She's only in like the last half, and she's not doing anything till the last like 20. So like. I don't know that it's like particularly her. It's just Lori wasn't doing a lot. Like I wish we had spent more time with Lori like before all of it. Like in the original, but like I don't know. I felt like I don't know what it was missing. Yeah. But it felt like it was like well done. It had like the budget, you know what I mean? Like we've talked about with 2018. Like they invested in more of like the set and scenery and like cinematography than like especially a horror movie in 2007 normally would. But there was just something about it that I can't quite put my finger on that was like kind of bland. Like it was like, oh, okay, Michael killed some more people. Oh, all right, he killed some more people.
That's fair. And that's fair. So I guess we kind of like to use this to pivot. The H2O gave this franchise life again, right? Like it had really been like going through the rudder, and then H2O gave it life. Resurrection brought it back down, and it was dead for a good while. I remember there's a documentary called Halloween 25 Years of Terror, And in it, they have a girl. They have like a contest to see who's going to be in the next one. And this girl like wins the contest, and she's like, they make a big moment of it, and she's so excited she's going to be in the next Halloween movie. And she was in this one. She was. They honored it, but they cut her scene, so she wasn't in it. But
I would be so upset.
I would be livid.
I don't even think the deleted scene is on like anything. I don't think it's anywhere. That shot is just gone. But the movie. It went through like a lot of stages from Resurrection, right? Because they really wanted a sequel. They were like, well, do we do a sequel? Do we reboot it? What do we do here with this? Like, we have this like dead thing that won't resuscitate. What do we do with it? And I think they went, I don't know. There were a lot of different concepts for it. And finally, at some point, it was like 2007. So we were getting these remakes already, these reboots. And somebody had the bright idea that Halloween was going to lead that charge, right? And they're going to do that. And, Rob Zombie had just come off of House of a Thousand Corpses, like he was kind of the up and coming name because the shit was so different at the time. And I remember like him being like a huge like staple for this movie. They were like touting it as Rob Zombie. And he gets the role he gets the movie. He did like everything on this damn movie too. He wrote it, he directed it, like produced it. There's a on the DVD. Not to talk even longer, on the DVD, there's like a 4-hour making of this documentary, and he literally has his hands in everything. So, like, love him or hate him, he was fucking on this movie and like gave it all of his effort.
I feel like that's to this movie's benefit and detriment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like him being so involved, it's like it would have been nice to maybe have somebody counter his ideas, because I think like what Ian was saying earlier, that there was something missing. Like, when people describe movies as bloated?
Yes.
This movie feels bloated to me. Like, it's like bloated with a lot of bullshit and like shock stuff. And like, there's so much good stuff happening in this movie, but the stuff that's bad really feels like it weighs it down.
Yes.
Like those long, like drawn out scenes of people just screaming motherfucker over and over and like cunt. It's like, we did it. Like, you've made them like a white trash family. Like, we did it. Fuck. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I actually felt that way. Zach, don't kill me. I actually like once we got like the fourth Lori chase scene, it was like, all right, come on. Yeah, I felt very like that was a good Ian impression.
But this is like per episode. We get one of those per episode. When we have merch, that will be the t-shirt, okay?
But like it felt like I did like the action scenes, but also back to Troy's point, the detriment there, Rob Zombie loves a close-up, and sometimes I needed them to pan away to like see the space. And sometimes the chase scenes were a little so up close that I was like, I'm not sure where they're like, I wasn't sure where she was in relation to him, especially when they were in the house. It was and I know that was like also on purpose, but also it was like, I don't know, is he getting her or is she in the other room? I'm not really.
Well, just because something's on purpose doesn't mean like it has to work, and it just didn't work for you. This to kind of counter you, Troy, a little bit, this movie did have a lot of hands on it. So Rob Zombie recently, like within the last year or so, was on what's his name? What's his name? You know his name. What is it?
Dickhead Rogan.
Not Dick. Joe Rogan. He was on the Joe Rogan show. He was on the Joe Rogan show, and he was talking about this movie, and he said that this movie it had a lot of studio hands in it, and it was actually not what he wanted to do with it.
Interesting.
So, this is one of those instances. And number two, obviously, it would have looked like number two, just with I think what his vision was to make the entire, like, two movies. The entire first movie be Michael's childhood and in the hospital. And then the second movie, be Laurie Strode's story. And you can definitely tell that here, right? Like, these are two movies pushed into one. Absolutely. And I do think, I think I agree with both of you that there does, and this is with a lot of people also, that there needs to be somebody sometimes to, like, your checks and balances, because if you give somebody 100% creative control, sometimes they spin out of control with it. And I think Rob Zombie is one of those people that does that. I think that is why his career is taking, his career's taking a little bit of a slump You know, we
Yeah,
have
but
a
like
lot of,
he's rich and he's fine, so it's not like
he's rich and he's fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was after this, like he was slated to be like one of the top directors, right? Because this movie it was like $15 million budget. It made like 70 something million dollars at the time, which was huge. It really revitalized this franchise. And he was getting, you know, he had like projects lined up left and right. He was supposed to do something called the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And he just like the things he started making after were just, you know, Rob Zombie. And he got more creative control after this one, right? Because they're like, oh, well, he did such a great job with this one. But I think this was one of those that studio interference turned out to be a really good thing, because it did, as much as Rob Zombie is injected into it, it still is. It's like gorgeous to look at. It looks like a high budget Hollywood movie, right?
Yeah.
It has all of those elements, and it was even filmed in South Pasadena, which they don't do that anymore for this franchise.
I don't think that the dialogue is great.
Mhm.
The dialogue is like it's crazy, like such a beautiful, like I was having this thought when I was watching it, like this is so beautifully filmed. It looks gorgeous. And they did so many fun creative things like visually, but like as they're speaking while it's happening, it's like these two different things. Like it's like Lifetime and Rob Zombie. You know what I mean? Like the dialogue is like pretty bad.
He's not
especially
a
for
great
people
writer.
who aren't. No, he's not a good writer. It's just that's I think where he struggles the most. The writing is like really, really, really not good to me.
Yeah, I very much. It's me and Troy just agreeing a lot.
Oh, wonderful. I love it. Go for it.
But like, I mean, Zach and I were talking about it when we were watching it. So it's like in the beginning, like you said, Troy, it's like, we get it. They're white trash. Like, yes, he's called the son a faggot 85 times. Yes, he's called her a bitch 85. Like, use a different word. Come up, like, we don't need all, like, I get what you're going for, but like, we didn't need all of that. And like, it's not like I'm like offended. It's just like, this is getting tired. Like, you know
he's not,
I mean? Like,
but it is offensive. Like, he tries to write the most offensive bullshit that there is. And I think that's what he thinks is, because I've listened to, oh my God, I've listened to this like commentary track, all the behind the scenes stuff, like countless times. And he always says, well, this is how people talk. This is how real life is. I want it to be real. Everything needs to be real. People don't talk like that. People don't talk like that. People say offensive shit too, but they don't, nothing like that. This is everybody has a Rob Zombie wig on. Everybody is like talking about stroke, like even teenage daughters talking about stroking things and chicken abortions and you know, like,
and be like,
what are we doing?
Like, nobody does that.
Nobody, even Laurie Strode, which is like, I do really love Laurie Strode in this. Like I love Scout Taylor Compton with my whole heart, but like her with the bagels and teasing her mom, I'm like, I would never do some shit like that, right? And I said fuck in front of my mom all the time, but I would never have like made a sexual joke around my mom. You know?
Agreed. Like I will curse in front of my mother, but like I would never be like, oh, and I'm sucking a dick, right, mom? Like,
it was like, what? Like, it takes you out of it because you're like, wait, nobody does that. Like, not even the most like, you know, vulgar person does that. And then
she's
like
not even supposed
really
to be.
Long. Right. She's like a chill, normal girl, and she's like, Mom, look at this hole. Hey. It's like, what?
Yeah, and I think his whole point too was like, his whole point was supposed to be that this is how teenagers are these days. This is how teenagers are. You know, we're not going to make her like a Puritan like she was in 1978. And I think, you know, it's just like they did make good steps. She looked great in this movie, right? She looked like a normal teenage girl, right? That was step one. She doesn't have to be dressed like Laurie Strode in 1978.
Right, yeah.
That already tells us she's not a puritanical girl. She joked, I loved her relationship with with Annie Brackett in this movie. I love how they joke and they go back and forth together. I think Scout Taylor Compton and Danielle Harris are just magic on screen together. And like that shows that Laurie Strode is a normal teenage girl, right? She's not bashful in the corner on the phone, you know? She's like making jokes and stuff, but he doesn't know how to he doesn't understand subtlety is what I think it is.
Subtlety. That's what it is. There's no subtlety.
I think this is what he thinks a nuance is, maybe.
Yes.
Rather than like looks.
Yeah.
Somebody else say, instead of giving a look that's like, oh, I'm not too happy with you, like, you stupid motherfucker, you know, and then like throws out the worst fucking film.
Off your cock. Like,
I'm sure that's in a Rob Zombie movie somewhere.
I'm sure it is.
Get your cock hard and saw it off.
Like, and it's like two friends saying it. Like, I will say too, I know I've been ragging on it. A thing I did like was I liked that Annie survived, and I liked when Lori finds her because and Zach, you know this is true. Like when I talk to people that I love that are my friends, I call them like baby, and like, you know, like my one coworker Alex, who I see all horror movies with, you know, he's my like one of my only gay friends here, and I'm always like, oh baby, hey, how are you doing? Like, and that's how he and I talk to each other, and I did appreciate that it wasn't like, ooh, like it wasn't like a weird subtext. It was just like, oh yeah, that's like one of her best friends. So like, when she finds her, she's like, oh my god, honey, baby, I'm so sorry. Like, and I like that.
The relationship really was so well, and that has, I mean, that's some of the writing too, right? To give him a little bit more credit, that's some of the writing, that's some of the directing, but it's also, we have to understand, they're acting really well together.
It's them.
It's
them. It's the fact that those two, because those two specifically, out of every character in this movie, they take that dialogue and make it feel real.
Yeah.
You know, and like especially Danielle, like she, I mean, I really was like, is she even acting? Like, is she just ad-libbing lines? Like, because she's so good, you know?
Yeah. We'll get into characters in a second. Okay. I want a couple more things with Rob Zombie. I want to give him a tiny bit more credit. He does a really great job of plucking actors that had been in all your favorite things before and had maybe had like a career slump and puts them in these movies. We have Dee Wallace from Cujo. We have Danielle Harris from this fucking franchise, man. Like,
Although, wait, not to give him credit.
We're not there yet, Ian.
That's okay. That's not his credit. That's
we're not there yet. But like you look at this movie and it is stacked with, you know, actors from things you remember. Brad Dourif.
Every time Brad Dourif talked, it was like,
it was Chucky. It was Chucky.
I know, it's so cool.
It's like, hey, little bitches, get in the car. Anybody want to ride? You know?
Dad, don't call me a slut.
And Michael McDowell from Clockwork Orange, he just like, you know, I think the casting was done really well here. And everybody has the acting chops. It's just you see sometimes where the script kind of like trips them up is because they're saying weird things and the sentences go together weird, and it's just all weird. Sheri Moon Zombie's in this. Where nobody's surprised. Nobody is surprised that Sheri Moon Zombie is in this. But he's got to collect all the checks he can, right? Producer check, director, writer, actress. You know, it's all going towards their household.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't play Michael Myers.
Oh my god!
I was literally just gonna say I'm shocked he isn't in the movies, like dressed up in some weird like what, you know.
He pretty much is. Everybody has the Rob Zombie hair. Everybody is like a caricature of Rob Zombie with the bell bottoms and, you know, rocker dudes.
Like 70s rocker guy. Even like, and that's the other thing is like, even though his movies, like obviously this movie has a very specific like timeline of like when it's supposed to be happening, they all sort of exist in the same like Rob Zombie timeline no matter what, which is just like this like 70s centric world. No matter what, it's always kind of the 70s,
which is I don't hate that actually.
I like really that. It's one of my favorite things.
I like the styling of it. I like when we see so many people in this movie with some sort of fur trim on their jackets. You know, it's like it really works for me in those. Let's break it up by story, because we do kind of have three different stories here. We have Michael Myers' childhood, we have Smith's Grove, and then Laurie Strode. Laurie Strode really doesn't come until like the last 15 minutes. This is a 2-hour movie, right? So, do you? I don't know. Like, Ian, you said you didn't like the beginning of it. You don't like the beginning of it, Troy? Do you? The whole.
No, I do like it. I just don't think it was done well. But I like it. Does that make sense?
What would have been better?
I liked what they were doing and what they're like what Ian said earlier, what they were trying to do. And I like learning about Michael. And I actually really liked the mask stuff. I thought was very interesting. And like watching him go from like being a kid to like no longer speaking. And then the transition from like I liked all that stuff a lot. I just think it went on and on and on in this really like kind of slow way, and it just felt like it was dragging. Like, and the thing about him is that it feels like he really sometimes feels like he's doing something like outrageously creative. Yeah. When it's like, no, this is actually quite simple. Like you could sum this up. You're not reinventing the wheel with the first 40 minutes of this movie.
And the first 40 minutes is supposed to be like 15 minutes of any other movie, right? Like your origin story if it's not its own movie, it is like 15, 20 minutes, you know?
Yes.
And I also think there's like the tension was missing too.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like more of like, yeah, he's a murderer.
Okay.
Like it was like, I felt like maybe the in that opening, well, in those 40 minutes, like the first
the
first
opening.
kill,
We keep calling it the opening, isn't it?
Yeah. First hour.
there was an hour of the film. I felt like the only like time I was like a little tense was like the bully that he kills, because it like that did look like a child, right? Like he did look young.
You know who that was, right?
No.
Spy Kids. It's Daryl or not Daryl Hannah.
That child is definitely not.
His name is Daryl. His name is Daryl, but I don't remember what his last name is. He's in Spy Kids. He's Junie.
Okay.
Oh, of course, his hair should have been a giveaway.
But like, you know what I mean? Like that kid did look like a kid. So it was that was the only time when it was a little bit like, oh shit, he's like beating this child to death.
Yeah.
But like, it felt like of all of the like anything else that was happening, we knew where it needed to go. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think another reason why like there was no tension. I feel like maybe Danny Trejo's character, which like the line delivery was not great. Love Danny Trejo, but like, that was maybe the only scene that was a little tense. I was like, oh, is he gonna let this guy get away? Oh no, he's not. All right.
Yeah.
And then there was like too much of him being like, Mikey, I was good to you, drowning. Mikey, I was good at drowning. Mikey, drowning. And it's like, cut one of them, please.
Yeah. I don't know where I would even, cut stuff, right? I guess is the general message here, because there's a lot of fat that could be trimmed out of this, but I kind of like it. I kind of like the origin story stuff. I remember it when it came out. This was it still is a real hot button topic that you don't show any rhyme or reason for Michael Myers. You don't show a why. That was what people were really pissed about with this, is because they gave him a reason that he was killing, is because he's being bullied and he has a horrible home life and stuff like that. But it's a fucking remake, right? Like, you have your original. This is something different. And it feels like maybe he's not reinventing the wheel here, but it did feel like he was trying to tell a different kind of story, and maybe he was having a lot of studio, Bob Weinstein going, where's the Laurie Strode? Lali Strode, where's Lali Strode? And
at least it's based in some kind of reality. That's the one thing that I like about it, is like
the true crime of it all, right?
Yeah, like if you're gonna try and force a origin story down our throats about like why Michael Myers is who he is, at least it was based in like he had a really shitty upbringing and he was bullied and his family was abusive, and it was very like real, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I like that part of it. It's weird. Like, I don't know if I like the beginning or not. Like, when I watch it, I enjoy all this stuff. I just don't think it's done well. I don't know.
I love this movie to my core. I truly do. And there's a level of nostalgia factor to it, but I do love it. And so as we were watching it, Ian, I was like, oh, we're going to get all of my favorite parts, and he's going to love all of those. And we were going through the first half of the movie, and I was like cringing to myself. I'm like, because I know he doesn't like any of this, and I can see why.
Yeah, the flaws are coming to the surface.
Like, it's really like when Sheri Moon Zombie is arguing with her boyfriend. It is the cringiest fucking argument I have almost ever seen in a movie. Right?
Oh my god!
It's like, bitch, I will come over there and fuck the shit out of you. Like throwing things
Zach
around the
specifically
computer.
Looked at me on the screen, and I
was like, I hope he's just looking at his phone this time. Let this be the one time he's just looking at his phone while we watch a movie. Because
like, you lazy piece of shit. And like, can we just all agree? Can we just, as much as I love a lot of these other Rob Zombie movies,
already agree.
Can we just say Sheri Moon Zombie can't act.
But
if you're going no, let me just finish this. If he's going to be bold enough to make her like a focal point of every fucking movie he does,
you scared the fuck out of me. That was not. You need to announce yourself, because I'm in a new house. You were in the corner of the room.
I was like, what just happened? Michael Myers in there with him.
He was just standing there, just staring at me, and like,
oh my god, I hated that. I hated all of that.
My heart jumped.
Oh my god,
this is our horror movie, Troy. And
I've been hearing noises in this house all day long, and then I'm like, somebody's been hiding in the house. Okay, continue, Troy. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say that if you're gonna force her down our throats and like force her to be the lead of every single movie and the focal point of this movie, like, come on. Her relationship with that kid was so nonsensical and not believable. All of it ridiculous. I'm sorry.
It's
Well,
okay.
I did say, to her credit,
Yes.
I did say this to Zach, that I thought this was one of her better. I thought like she was way better
Yes.
in this than she was in previous Rob Zombie.
Yes,
things I've
agreed with that for
seen.
sure.
Because I'm not going to say she's a good actress in this either. But he does some good work with her, I think. I think especially when they have slow-mo shots, when they have shots where she doesn't have to give a lot of dialogue, she's pulling really good face. When Michael kills that nurse in the hospital and she like opens his mask and he like screams at her and she's like is like terrified of him, it's really good with the sirens blaring over top. I think I told you, Ian, that one of my big problems with her acting is it's like she memorizes her lines but doesn't understand sort of inflection or cadence or like, pausing for any dramatic effect or anything. It's like everything is like said all at once. It's like, honey, why are you sitting out here? Give me the baby, honey. What are you doing here? What are you?
Yeah, very that.
Like,
yes. Oh my God. Yes.
And sometimes I see promise in her. I'm like, you could be like, your name is fucking Sheri Moon Zombie. Like you were made to be an icon. Okay.
Yeah.
Like somebody needs to do something with you because your husband's
She's
not
a
doing
worthy. I think she's a worthy like muse
Yes.
or whatever. But I just think he doesn't write well for her. What do you guys think about the kid?
I think it's like with the Sheri Moon Zombies that he's placed really well in this. He's not necessarily a good actor, but he's placed really well, and they come up with some really great moments with him.
Yeah, I mean, because he's not really doing much. Like he's mostly just like there wearing a mask. There's creepy music. That's kind of.
What about you, Troy?
I like the kid. I do. Like every time I've watched this movie, and that might be the thing that like makes me not completely hate the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I actually really like him, and I think he's good at like emoting and like making you feel bad for him, and I think that he did a really good job of like transitioning his like the time period, like at the beginning when he's like sweet and he's like still calling his mom mommy and like whatever, and then him going from that to like not speaking. I thought he did a good job with that.
He does, and he is. I think the whole beginning, what I really like about it is the true crime of it all. I think he does really well with this whole true crime thing, and I think the kid plays really well into that too, as this like kid on your street who like killed his family and all their bodies were inside until his mom came home, and found them all like that. I buy it with him. If it's fucked up, I'm sorry, but it's I do buy it. His sister is her name is Hannah Hall, and so one thing with Sheri Moon Zombie is Rob Zombie will never make her take her top off. She will never.
Everyone
have to be
else
naked.
does.
Everybody
we have
else,
a full stripper scene where Rob Zombie would put everybody else in like literally no clothes. He would take all of their clothes off with him. Sheri Moon Zombie is fully clothed, and then we cut to her daughter, Hannah Hall, who was a child actress that we all know and love from Forrest Gump and the Virgin Suicides. And immediately tops off, right? And we'll get to Danielle Harris, too. That's a big... I could not stand that she was top off in this one.
Oh, my God. Okay.
We're getting there. It's just... but... Yeah, no, I think that was my only note on that one. I don't really have much to say.
Well, then we see like 3 other sets of tits, and it's like we got a stripping scene where the stripper didn't take off her clothes.
A stripper scene, a whole ass stripper scene.
These characters who are supposed to be teenage girls, those ones are like titties free. Like,
It's like it feels like this weird need for Zombie to post the people we recognize like nude. And to like put them out there nude in some way so that, I don't know.
I think, and I know I've said this before about the David Gordon Green movies, it's a very aggressively heterosexual thing, I think, to be like, wait, you gotta have titties in horror movies because like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you don't. I don't fucking care. Like, and I'm not like mad at them, but it's just like, especially when once you mentioned that, Zach, and I was like, this is so like weird that we do have a stripper scene. She doesn't take off any clothes. And then like 3 other like teenage characters we do see, like that just feels like very like why are we doing that? Because we don't.
It's so like straight guy directing a movie. It's so that, and it also to me feels very like from a director standpoint, it's him being like, they get naked, they'll get naked for me.
Yes,
Like they'll get naked for my movie.
And I hate putting, or I don't even hate putting that out there, but I hate, like, I can't state it as fact, you know, we can't say that they were given an ultimatum, but it feels like they couldn't say no to anything like this, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we even know that Danielle Harris was kind of struggling up until Halloween 2007, really to get roles again. This falls into her lap. She's going to do anything to be in it, you know?
Right.
And she goes topless, which is,
it did not fall into her lap.
Well,
I read all that trivia and I was mad all over again for her.
Yeah, it's I don't think she was she wasn't too happy with it either. But it was something that she was going to do because she does love this franchise and she wanted to be in it so bad. And it just is this weird thing with Zombie that he feels like he can just kind of dangle that meat in front of us almost, right? As if like he got this child actress Hannah Hall to do it, you know, the child actress we remember. He got her to take her top off, and it's just weird, and it feels uncomfortable seeing it. I felt really uncomfortable seeing some of them topless, you know, especially in some of the ways they die, some of the ways they get attacked. It's just like the nudity is so, and that's horror movies in general mixed with violence, but it seems a little bit more pointed in a Rob Zombie movie. It just does.
It's like aggressive nudity.
Nudity, yeah, absolutely. I do, the whole scene where he kills, it's like, it's weird, right? Like, and they even have Michael Myers, like, fondling his sister right before he kills her, you know?
Yeah.
Which is very Rob Zombie.
It's fine. Like, why, man? Where's Sheri Moon Zombie getting that treatment, right? Where's, like, why isn't Michael touching his mother's leg?
Right,
know?
it's like, oh, don't treat my women that way. But
Right.
anyone else, who gives a shit?
It's just like, when's the last time? I'm like, how long have you been wealthy, Rob Zombie? Because like, this is like not what normal. Like, you think that this is what all poor people are like, or something? Yeah. Like this is happening in every trailer across the country. Like, no. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
God forbid he actually puts it in a trailer park, though, not the biggest house in South Pasadena, right?
Yeah.
That's the outside ugly with the
swimming pool. The biggest house with trap doors and trap holes in the floor. I mean, you know.
Whatever, man.
The haunted mansion, aka the Strode house.
Yeah, I do think like how we kind of when we start wrapping up the sort of origin story. I think it's before Smith's Grove. It works really well. There's the shot of them. It's like a freeze frame shot of.
I did think that was
like
cool,
the camera's panning and everybody's standing still. It's not any sort of like actual editing. It's everybody standing still, and they bring the camera over and he looks. I remember that being in the trailer a bunch too. And like it's just moments like that are so good and there's such greatness there. And I'm like, damn, why are you doing all this other stuff? Stop it. You know, like even his sister coming out of the bedroom and into the hallway and trying to like hobble away as he's like slashing at her back. It's like fucking wild and it's like intense. And the score with this movie is so good at taking the original and also blending it into something that is like really intense and like heightens your anxiety level. It's almost like they're banging like pots and pans together and like rattling a chain link fence, you know? It's like weird sounds like that are just, and they're all put in at the perfect moments. What else?
Did either of you see this? I promise this will be relevant. Did either of you ever see the Star Wars prequel movie Solo, the Han Solo movie?
Yeah.
No, I never did.
Did you like it, Zach?
No, I thought it was so boring.
Okay, so we're going to relate that here because yes, I agree with you. I thought that movie was fucking boring because especially it was like, yeah, we know this happens. Oh, this is a thing he did. Now we're seeing him do it. Like, I didn't feel there was any tension in that scene when he was killing his sister. It's just like, just kill your sister. I know you're going to do it. So like, I thought the shot was cool. Sure. Like her coming out and it being quiet. I did like that. But it felt like I was waiting for it to happen. Like it didn't feel like I was tense because I knew she had to die. And it felt like I was more like,
maybe just a different sort of tension then, not like a doom awaiting sort of tension, like maybe just some sort of like all of the elements making you uncomfortable, maybe.
That's fair. Yeah.
Just an uncomfortability that's sat there beneath the surface. And I think like in the moment where he like walks into the baby's room and like looks at the baby, we know he's not gonna fuck with the baby, or I don't know, it's Rob Zombie, but we know he's not gonna fuck with the baby, and still,
I will say, I was like, because I asked you, right? I was like, isn't that Lori? Because I was like, is he gonna chop up that baby?
it's still like, you
I
know,
will
it's
say-
that little. Go ahead.
One thing that I think he does do really well is like violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I feel like him trying to be a badass gets in the way of his like directing.
Yeah.
And I like his interpretation of violence in a horror movie, because like you said, he's obsessed with everything feeling real and like realistic. And the way that like Michael rages out on people in his specific Halloweens, I think that's cool.
Oh yes.
Zach, you know this. I'm never a fan of gore, but I was surprised how not gory it was. Like I was kind of like, oh, okay. Like I felt like the most brutal kill was Danny Trejo begging for his life, being like, I was good to you, but like it's just a drowning. It's not like he's not being cut up. And then the TV
Are you
falls
thinking
on.
so? You thinking gore as far as like, you know, chopping up and like innards being pulled out and stuff like that, because it's bloody.
Like showing things.
Like
Yeah.
showing it. Like it was just like people would be bloody, but we're not seeing like a knife digging into them and then twisting, or
Yeah.
like we're not seeing like an open wound. It's just like there's blood on their outfit. Kind of like my reference, I saw House of a Thousand Corpses in theaters, and like they chop off Chris Hardwick's head and put it on the like shelf next to her, so she's looking at it, right? And it's got blood pouring out of it. So I was kind of expecting that level of.
Have you ever seen Devil's Rejects?
I've only seen parts of it. Like I remember once it was on HBO, and I was like, I'll keep it on, but it was like literally just background, and I got annoyed.
Terrible.
The
gore in that one is. I could see how you would think that was here, right?
And I'm not saying that I missed it. It's just it felt like I was expecting it, so I was like, oh, that's weirdly tame. Like I was just like, because again, you know, I'm not like, oh, I want gore, Zach. Like I've never said that in a movie, but I think it was like more like I was just expecting like a head being chopped off and seeing the blood pour out of the neck and like all that shit. But it was more like,
and again, I wonder maybe if that's them trying to keep that R rating at least. Right.
I can see that.
And studios being like, fucking no, you're not doing whatever X, Y, and Z.
You can't literally skull fuck in this movie.
There is a director's cut with a lot of extra stuff. So this Smith's Grove Sanitarium part goes on forever. This is like the part that drags for me. It's just like over and over and over and over and over and over and over. We're like setting up Loomis. We're setting up that he's like going crazy and starting to go crazy. And like I think all of that was good stuff. Like you said a little bit earlier, Troy, that we see him stop talking, you know, like there's a moment where he just stops, and I do like seeing that evolution, but like cut 5 scenes out of it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, how many times did she visit the hospital? Like 8 times.
Yes.
I was like, oh my god,
it's
like
a
we
lot,
get it,
man. It's a lot.
like, and you only need like half, like.
Yeah.
He has a kill in there where he kills the nurse, and it's kind of like his tipping point, right? Is that's the moment he's like kind of very much checked out, and then we get to him as an adult, and this was so I wasn't sure exactly which version we were watching, because all the home releases and everything like really try to push the director's cut now, and the director's cut is full of like shit. Which version did you watch? When he escaped, did he kill police, or did he kill rapists?
He killed rapists.
Yes. So we watched different ones. You watched the director's cut.
Did?
There's a moment with the nurse, and this is how I always know which version I'm watching. I mean, I could just read the disc label, I guess, but this is how I'd always know is that the nurse always says, she looks at the picture of him and the baby, and she says, "Oh, cute baby," and then she puts it down. That's the theatrical run. But if she says "cute baby," it couldn't possibly be related to you. That's the director's cut. You always know.
Shit.
That is it.
I guess I watched the director's version.
I was real worried about it because, I mean, and I'm not saying I love a rape, but Ian.
Zach's like, oh, it's my favorite.
Ian cannot do a rape. He just cannot do it, right? And this is, I was like really cringing up because I was already cringing up for the entire movie, and I was like, hope this rape is not coming. Hope this rape is not coming, because it's fucking brutal, isn't it, Troy?
Wait,
like,
so it's not? So the rape is not in the normal at all?
It's not in the theatrical cut. They would not have put that in there. No.
Wow.
The
Okay,
rape
well,
was
it's
like them
brutal,
trying to
gross.
do some more Devil's Reject shit. You remember the motel rape scene? It was like they were trying to do some shit like that, because I think in the director's cut, it's like 2 guards go and get like another like mentally disturbed woman, bring her into Michael's room and rape her in there, and like mess up his
very
masks.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's them being like, she's pretty. We gonna get her. Like, it's very like, I mean, it's so fucking vulgar.
Terrible. Yeah.
It's so like the shit that they say, and like it's really, really, it's very like Last House on the Left. Like, it's very just like over the top, vulgar, violent, long scene. It was literally like 10 full minutes. Like, I oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know that
it's so cruel too. Yeah, and it's such a cruel scene as well. But like the theatrical one is just the guards are moving him to wherever, whatever, we don't really know. They're just moving him, and he kills all of the guards and escapes, and then kills Danny Trejo. Did he kill Danny Trejo in yours, or no?
Yes.
Okay, so they still had that then.
I did read in the trivia when I read about that they wanted him to cut that, and he like fought with them to keep Danny Trejo's death in there.
Zombie.
Zombie did, because that like didn't test well with audiences. Like, they felt Michael would have just,
because nobody wants to see Danny Trejo die like this. No, Danny Trejo went home. Okay, he's the janitor.
He took out his machete and chopped off.
He was not trying to put no handcuffs on Michael Myers. It was not in his job description. He was leaving. He was going home. He was grabbing his keys and he was gone. Okay.
Zach and I both made that joke. Like, they're like, well, you seem busy, so I'm gonna go. Sorry for interrupting.
I just know.
You're busy murdering. I'm gonna leave. I'm not clocking in for this.
Yes.
Like, I retire in 3 months. Bye, Mikey.
Have fun. Stay blessed.
Yeah.
He really did. Should have said stay blessed and just gone. But so this is our, we're like caught up now. You know, we're caught up into present day, which is 15 years later. We finally get to Haddonfield. Halloween night, and the whole fucking tone of this movie changes, and it is the most, like, it is so gorgeous. It looks gorgeous, it looks expensive, it looks polished, it looks like, it's kind of like reminiscent to me of like Halloween H2O, where Halloween H2O looked really pretty as a movie, and this last half of this movie looked really, really pretty, and everybody looked great, and their hair was done really nice, and we didn't have like shit smeared on everybody's cheeks and stuff, you know, like there wasn't like a shit ball like left on somebody's doorstep. And we finally get our Laurie Strode so late into the movie too.
Oh God.
Why don't you like Laurie Strode in this, Ian? Why do you hate Scout Taylor Compton?
Why do you hate Lori, Ian?
Why do you hate women, Ian? That's a question here.
Yeah.
I just don't think they gave her enough to do. Like, I think once we got to her, because I even said this, Zach, right? I think when I forget the first death, that's like pretty, like, not one for one, but like pretty, you get what they're going for once you get to that scene.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you, we're here already, because it felt like we didn't sit with the characters enough, and we sat with Michael for so long that like this movie was too long.
Yeah.
I think it's too long, but I do think we needed more time.
Once we hit Lori in the kitchen, it slides to the end. Like we are there. Mm-hmm. I am always a little bit shocked whenever we see Linda and Bob pulling into the house in the van. Like, I'm always like, are we here already? Is this like, this is it? Yeah. So this is Halloween night then. It does move really fast for me. What did you think? Go ahead.
I think that's the only thing I didn't like about this, Lori, is that we saw more of her just screaming than we saw of her like interacting. Mm-hmm. And I could have done for just like a little bit more. Again, this movie did not need to be longer. Cut something else and put this in, but like just a little bit more sitting with Lori. You know, I do think you guys are right. Like, her and Jamie Lloyd's character, Annie Brackett, they do go well together, but they don't have that many scenes together. And I would have liked a few more scenes. And it's weird because it does feel like they breeze by a lot of the scenes from like redos of the scenes from the original, but they're like quicker, right?
Yeah.
Like their walk down the street looks and is a lot like that scene, but it's quicker. They're like, she sees Michael outside. That went by so fast. I was like, wait, was that Michael? Like, I really was like, wait a minute. And then you told me that was like Laurie's house from the original. I think that's my issue with this Lori, is we don't sit with her enough.
I basically feel the exact same way as Ian. Like, I just felt like they did a disservice to her character by not having her in the movie longer. Like, it made us not as I wasn't as emotionally invested in her as I feel like I could have been, because she does such a great job. Like, I just wish there was more. I honestly wish there was more of her.
Yeah.
And we could have done, maybe 15 minutes less of the beginning and like 15 minutes more of her like development as a character, because she's great. And I think the fact that she's still so good with what little we got of her is
Yeah.
a testament to how good she is,
Yeah, she I think she was 17 when she made this too, so she was young. And Rob Zombie said that he cast her because her face would like fall apart when she was crying, and like all of her crying and screaming and
Yeah.
stuff like that was really messy, and he didn't want like everybody else that had come in was really looked really nice, when they were crying, and she looked messy.
Okay, but I
He
don't
was a
know.
great crier.
She is, and I even said to Zach that she kind of looks like Laura Dern when she's crying.
Oh yeah, she does. Oh my god.
But I call bullshit on that because it's his fucking daughter. I highly doubt that he was like, oh,
Scout Taylor
well.
Compton is not his daughter.
Oh my god, I thought she was. I thought I knew that she
No,
was
spreading
his daughter.
misinformation.
Ah, well, never
Fucking
mind.
Trumper.
I totally thought I knew she was his daughter.
No.
You're like, I read it on The Onion.
I read it on Fox News. Thank you.
No. I cannot believe you.
I don't know why I thought that.
You just like stored it in your memory for all of this stuff. You're like nepotism at its finest. Rob Zombie does not have any children, by the way.
Thank God.
They're all like dressed like him, Like
Yeah.
they're in Halloween costumes, but it's all year long.
They just walk around singing Living Dead Girl all the time.
They have a daughter named Sheri Moon Zombie, but it's spelled Chery.
Jerry Zombie movie.
Right.
No, I just like, I don't know. There's something about her in this that she feels like a peak 2000s final girl, everything from her outfit. She's got like layers on her outfit. She's got, the glasses, her shirt at one point her jacket looks like it could be from the Hot Topic. It's got skulls on it and stuff. Skater alternative.
I
Does it look
I
accurate?
just bought a shirt from Hot Topic just like 2 days ago.
No, I really like her, and I think that one of the marks of a real like great final girl for me is her fight. And I do agree that she should have had more time for character development, but her fight in this nonetheless is like she fucking goes through it. Okay, Laurie Strode 1978 talks about trauma. This Laurie Strode. Let's talk about this Laurie Strode's trauma. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no,
this was a
right.
lot. This was a lot. And I think she plays it really well. I really like the scenes of her with the kids. I think she just can bounce off of people really well, and she feels 17 because she is 17.
Oh, I do have something nice to say because I don't know that I agree
It's okay.
with what you just said.
Okay, that's fine.
But I do think those kids were actually like.
She was shit, but I liked the little children. I them.
I thought both kids were like pretty good, and like I like that they made Tommy Doyle like kind of this like shitty, sassy little boy.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't have minded if the kids had been there a little bit longer because they are like in it, and then she tells them to run. They're like screaming, and then they run away. But I kind of like that he was like shitty with both his babysitters, but like it reminded me of the kid in 2018 with what's her face.
Yeah.
Oh, Julian.
Yeah. And like I like when we can like have a kid that like has more of a personality, isn't just like scared child. So I did like the kid who played Tommy, and I looked him up, and he's been in like a ton of shit since then.
Has he? Oh,
Yeah.
I've never looked him up. I don't think.
Because I was like, oh, I've seen him in blah blah blah. But yeah, no, I did really like him. I liked his relationship with Lori. I liked him like being like, oh, I don't even like girls, and like walking away from them. And I was like, me as a baby.
He could be. Tommy Doyle grew up to be gay. 2007 Tommy Doyle grew up to be gay. Absolutely. I think our three main girls here, I'm like obsessed with all of them. I love them so much. Danielle Harris was 30 when she did this. She was like a full-grown adult and still like rocked the teenager shit. She's the type of teenager that I love, and I wish we did more of, where it's older people playing teenagers, right? Very Buffy the Vampire Slayer. All 30-year-olds playing 17, 16-year-olds. I love
very
it.
CW.
And the Queen, Danielle Harris, is back in this. She like really wanted to get back in this when she heard it was being made. She like had her people contact them, and she's like, I will do anything. Just get me in the damn movie. And she is a queen. She is a queen of this franchise. She's a scream queen in general. But I feel like let's talk about the disrespect we get for Annie Brackett a little bit, Danielle Harris, because overall I think she's done a great service. I think she is one of the standout characters of the movie. I don't know if that
Hands
necessarily
down.
goes to writing, but I think that goes to her more likely.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
She just is charismatic and magnetic and all of her stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
she has in the original we don't have Annie actually hooking up with her boyfriend. I don't even think we see Paul, but we have them hooking up and he like fully takes her shirt off, and then she has this full chase scene, which is fantastic, a wonderful chase scene and a great fight scene for her. But she's doing it topless, and it's like, why do we have Danielle Harris topless here? What is the point here, other than you know we remember Danielle Harris, and you're dangling it in front of us that she's topless? Like that infuriates me to no
It literally
end.
made my blood boil. Every
Yeah.
time I've ever seen this, I forget how angry it makes me too. I literally forget every time that she dies
Yeah,
topless. And it's like a long, drawn out topless moment.
yeah,
To the point that even when when they're like standing over her and she's just like panting topless, like
yeah.
And it's like from here up, like we still see the nipples. It should at least be like,
like it's just so ridiculous to
It's
me.
distracting.
It is distracting, and
Yeah.
it's distracting of like a great actor. Like she is an amazing actor who honestly to me is the best in this whole film.
Yes, yes.
You know, I just I hate that.
And it's the scene is such a bunch of great moments because I'm not even I don't care about putting her in a sex scene or anything like that, like she's making out with her boyfriend. Great, because the moment where he like stabs her boyfriend in the back, pulls him up, and she like starts screaming and like trying to like backpedal on the couch, fucking phenomenal, right? Like that's great.
Yeah.
It's distracting because she's topless, and I feel like I can say it as a gay man. I'm not even sexualizing her or nothing. It's just distracting because now I'm looking at her tits and I can't help it. Every watch I do, I can't help it. There's a moment where she goes running out the front door, which is brilliant, that he like reaches and grabs her back in.
Oh,
and we have that
so
full like
good.
2-3 seconds of silence just on the front door. I love it, but it's distracting because she's fucking topless.
Yeah.
She goes and she makes it to the kitchen. She like digs through the drawers and like finds a knife, and she's like, gonna like stab him, but he knocks her over and she's on the floor, like you guys said, and just sprawled out, and she's topless. And I'm just looking at her and I'm like it's even a bra would have been better. Like keep her in a bra, keep
Right.
something covered, because it's just, I think this is one of those moments where, there's nothing wrong with the female form, but it is just, this doesn't work for this. And she was clearly uncomfortable doing it,
Yeah.
yeah, she does. Like, I don't know. Like, I noticed that like I put my shoulders up if like I'm uncomfortable and I'm like shirtless or like naked,
Cover your
and
own
like
titties while
yeah,
you
like
her,
and I noticed that her shoulders were up a little bit, like when she's like doing it. Granted, like you would be uncomfortable if you were naked and a murderer is trying to kill you. So like,
But it's disrespectful also because she is a veteran of this series. She carried 2 movies in this franchise as a child,
As a kid.
and they fucking are making her walk around set like topless. They're making her do that. Like that's
well, I think
Yeah.
so. Just so like we didn't like say this before, but like to your point, because like on surface you could be like, well, that was just the role, but like they asked her specifically, like she had to like push for the role, and they asked her if she would do. They're like, well, will you do topless? And she agreed because she wanted the role so bad, and that's what feels. That's the part for me that like feels disrespectful, where it's like you gave it to her because she said yes to doing top. Like she like was a child and was very good in 2 fucking horror movies of this franchise.
we remember her as a child in this. We remember, like we are not going
Totally.
to forget that. So it's weird. It's a weird Rob Zombie thing. And this isn't even the only one he does it. The next one, it's the same thing. He does it again to her in the next one. You know
what it feels like sometimes with him is like he's like, it feels like he writes and directs his stuff first, and then after he thinks of how he can make it like more vulgar. How can I badass this up a little bit and make it more Rob Zombie? We'll take her shirt off. We'll make her talk. Like it feels like he has the concepts in mind, and then after he like injects that Rob Zombie shit into it, like adds the word cunt and every other. It's like it just feels like an afterthought and an unnecessary, just like aggressively fucking straight gross afterthought.
And there's nothing that they couldn't have done with the shirt on here, like that wouldn't have been as effective, right? Because when she walks in and sees Annie on the ground all bloodied and like beat up, her with the shirt on, I think it would have been just as vulnerable.
Oh,
because I could
She's
hear
like covered
him
in blood and her
just
like
saying
leg
like
looks
that's
broken.
supposed to be her vulnerable,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. Like she would have still been vulnerable. Her fucking yelling for Lori as Lori's like on the phone and stuff. It's like this. You have Danielle Harris. What are you
I
trying to
know.
get
Oh
shock
my
value
God.
out of for? This is Danielle, and I wish more people would realize this about Danielle Harris and just in horror in general, because she still is the most underrated final
Yeah.
girl, but just most underrated scream queen.
Yes.
Period.
Well, I mean, yeah, like Troy said, I do think she's the best one in this movie. And there's like you mentioned, Zach, it's like a very stacked cast with like, fucking Chucky's in this movie.
Yeah.
But like she
Yeah.
is the standout actor. Not and like, no hate
Yeah.
to any of the other actors. That doesn't mean they were bad, but she is definitely like the standout. And it's like, come on. Like
Yeah. And they even like I don't even have any notes with the whole scene that she got, the whole chase scene, because she originally I think it was supposed to be a little bit dulled down, and she was like really like, I'm the sheriff's daughter, like let me fight for myself. I'm going to like kick him. I told Tyler that I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna like really try to like hit you. Like you go for it, And you see her
So
do
good.
that. You see her making those decisions in real time, and it's just that is a testament to her. And I wish I just really want people to like recognize that.
But
and
you
really go
are
with it.
right though, like it is distracting to, and like especially for me, it was my first time, right? And like this is fine, but you were like, oh, this is like one of the best chasing, and like all I could focus on was the fact that she was fucking
Yes,
tough.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it is arguably one of the best chasings. It's not the best, but it is one of the best. And it is a moment of fighting. And you want to see your final girls fight, because to your point, Troy, that she died. She did not die. She's in this. She lives. She does live. And like
Right, yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes.
being blown away when Annie Brackett lived in this fucking movie. I was like, they didn't do that in the original. Sitting there as like a
Yeah.
seventh grader, like but it's so great that they kept her around and they recognized that. Okay. So like take it a step further and let her put her fucking shirt on, like something.
And like even in the original, when Annie is like, kind of naked, like they do it in such like a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. It's like
Yeah.
she's just wearing that shirt. Like it would have been so much more effective for her to be like, to get like the Jessica Alba treatment where she's in like a tank top with no bra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all love that moment in
Yeah.
in the remake of Texas Chainsaw.
There's fucking ways to do it. It's
Like,
just
they-
it makes no sense, and it makes me super angry every single time. It never fails to like really piss me off. Because it does dull that moment down for her just a bit. We have a lot of action, like from here on out, though. Lori showing back up at the house. I don't know when she hits her leg, but she's limping at some point, and I'm happy she's doing it though. I'm glad she's doing it.
Are you a final girl if you aren't dragging a leg though?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay. The dramatics of it all. Michael Myers stopped chasing me a long time ago, and I'm still like
yeah.
dragging my leg. There's like a moment where she's like running across the street, and the wind is fucking pounding her. It is like all on her. The
Yeah,
leaves are on her, and
cool.
she's like, clearly the wind is a little too strong for her because she's kind of like falling over a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and like it
Yeah.
works so well. This is like some of the genius of Rob Zombie is like, but again, it's like mixed with other people, the choreographer and cameraman and cinematographer and all of that. But like everything from here on out feels like stages to her final battle. And yeah, do you think I could see Ian maybe thinking there were too many stages, right? Because we have we have Tommy Doyle's house, we have the basement, we have the pool, we have back in the house, attic, and then like the very, very end. Is that too much for you, Ian?
Sure was.
What about you, Troy?
Yeah, it was. I'll be honest. It was. There was one moment. What's the moment where it's like we think that he died? Because I honestly lost track of how many times he got up. Like, I guess when they end up back inside the house, I was like, okay, like this is wild. He's really like wringing this as much as he can, and it takes. I think that it's so effective, and then that takes you out of it. Like you said, like it's so beautifully shot. I love the cinematography, like the leaves, like it looks so cool. And like to drag the scene out like that for so long, like it was just too much. It's always just a little too much.
I disagree with both of y'all. I love it. I love it. All of it. I love all of it. I think we have so much fear in her face, and she gets dirtier and bloodier as it goes along, and it all works so well. And had I been a little bit younger when this one came out, that would have absolutely, all of it would have been something I played with my Barbies. Like, I would have made the
Yeah,
Barbies,
totally.
like,
Me too.
like
I would have, yeah.
fallen out of the attic. Like, I would have built a cardboard attic just for that and, like, smashed her through it and, like, had her falling, or in the bathtub, had her falling down the slope in the pool and be like...
Yeah. my mom would have had to knock on the door and tell me to stop being weird.
I'm like, like, it's fucking fun. This is some fun shit, and I think they probably had like a blast making this. I know that during the basement part where like he's smashing through shit, that was all supposed to be like tear away like wood and stuff like that, and they didn't send a note to the I don't know, set makers, and it was all like real wood. He's like busting through, so he's like, that's why it's like taking so long, you know, is that like he's really smashing through shit, and she's trying to get through the gate. And I think she says that in one of the interviews that she like got really scared because the gate wasn't coming up and he was coming through, and she
oh my god,
and like she really tensed up for a moment. She's like, you know,
he's like, he's literally going to stab me,
and you see it. But you see it, like I think it just it's fun stuff. This is what I really miss in horror nowadays, is we don't, even if that was too long for like just as a whole from start to finish, we don't even have like fun playing with our sets anymore, or running around, or like even Scream 5 like had nothing hardly. The closest
I would
thing
say the opening had it. The opening played with the set.
I don't even think so. I don't think so. I think it was like she went from kitchen to foyer, really, you know?
I understand what you mean. I do appreciate that about this movie. Like, they really, really have fun with the sets, and like I do miss like a good long, I guess maybe just because I'm not used to it anymore. Maybe I'm not used to like a long drawn out, you know, final girl moment where it takes a really long time to finally like kill her. I do like, I don't know. I can't tell if I like this movie or not. If I like love it or despise it.
You love it. You love it. Like Sydney Prescott, hers wasn't as long, right? But like we still have her going out onto the roof, falling onto the boat, running through the fields, and nobody was chasing her. She could have kept going, right? Like she ends up back at the house, and it's just like we have stuff. So I'm really hoping like with Scream 6 we get more of like, you know, some fun stuff.
So I think the editing in this movie, I think it needed like a stronger editor, because like Troy and I were saying, like, it's just like, it felt, and I said this when we were watching it, Zach, when she climbs out of that basement, I thought she was outside.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know where she was.
Yes, that's
and
what
like,
it was.
They needed to edit that scene better, so I knew she was not outside, and I knew she was in a basement. So especially when she's at the fence, I was like, oh shit, she should just climb over it because it's taking so long. Just climb over it so he's like not there. But then we like pan out once he comes out, and it's like, oh no, she couldn't.
I see that. I can see that. I wonder if Mike Patterson is listening. He's an editor, right? So like, I wonder, because this looks like a really messy film to edit. Like it was really difficult because there's so much to it. If you've seen this movie, Mike Patterson, would you think this would be a really difficult one to edit? I do see that though. I have to say one of my favorite fucking parts is when she is in the house and she finally like Michael grabs her back, he crushes Loomis's face, and she goes running into the house, and she's like upstairs going through the walls, and the wall, I love that the wall is supposed to be like a parallel to Laurie Strode in the closet, you know, like hiding in the closet, and then he comes like busting through. And when she goes to the fucking attic, I remember just like, oh, that was like so exciting for me. The work print version, by the way, had cops pulling up to the front of the house and shooting Michael Myers dead, so we didn't have any of that. But like her in the attic, that's some good shit. Like her up there, he's like with the 2x4 really going for it. I think that's where it goes a little too long. Like he's like,
I was gonna say that is exactly
the moment.
Like,
it's
kind of stabbing it a little too long. A couple times.
And it also, I also had trouble being like, how hasn't he hit her? Because every time we panned out to him, the complete ceiling looked like it had fallen apart.
It's like he's just like going.
But every time we
her.
went to her, it was around her, never like her. So I like the editing there again. I was like, where is she? Because from his angle when he's looking up, the ceiling has completely, there's nothing, but like she's fine. So like it was like, that was where I was like, well, what are we doing?
Ian, with horror movies, we're not supposed to ask questions. Okay,
it
we
just
don't
felt
do
like,
questions.
In Star Wars, how the stormtroopers like can never hit the people they're shooting at, and it's like they're standing right in front of you. You guys are all terrible at this. That's like that felt a little bit like that.
Michael Myers, the stormtrooper, everybody. I think that is just like, I don't know, the whole house stuff. It works as such a great final battle because she gets like real fucked up. You know, she's like She falls like twice at the end of
that
this.
is your thing though, Zach. Like if I am bad at telling what Zach likes, but if there's a thing I know he likes, it's like a white girl from the early 2000s dressed in like those layers and the like bad outfits. Like you love that, and you love a girl who's like completely bloody and beaten up at the end of a horror movie. Those are like two staples of Zachary Patton Garcia.
Do you know I've made a few short films in my adult life, and I still will go to Walmart and find a like stretchy kind of tight floral pattern that is like Laurie Strode's in this one, and I usually put my final girl in that.
There is nothing wrong with that because I have such a stupid like love of like early season Buffy fashion. That's not like good fashion, but it's just like of the time.
Oh, I love it. It's just she looks so great, and she's got like the tight like flare jeans too of the 2000s. You know,
I also get that feeling of like liking at the end when your final girl feels like really deserving of the title.
Yes.
You know, and like I will say, like at the end of this movie, she does feel deserving of being like a final girl, and it feels like Rob Zombie at least does have an appreciation for final girls. Like he gets it, you know.
Laurie Strode, and I appreciate that it's like a not a Mary Sue final girl. She is a first time final girl, right? So like she's not exactly hitting the mark every time. She's kind of like when she points the gun, she's never shot a gun before in her fucking life, you know. Her like hands like
which is
flipping
true
and flopping.
True to Laurie Strode, right?
I love it, and I love that shit, right? I love that she is like going to fight for herself, but still is like, you know, it could go any way. I mean, we know which way it's going to go, but it could go any way because she's, you know, first time for her.
As a very weak gay, I fully can appreciate, like, I'm going to try, but I'm not going to be good at it. Like
she gets up and her eyes all busted out almost. Like she falls out of the attic and she's just, hair's fucking wild. She can barely stand. She really gets up.
That did feel a little much. It was like, wait, she was fine.
They put her fucking through. Did you see her fall? Through all of that and onto the floor, she fell face first and hit her fucking eye.
No, she falls with her back.
She like spun.
Because I specifically thought we saw her fall with her back. Why is her eye
out of camera? She spun. But she like gets up. She is fucked up. And not only that, he like comes in, he drops the wood and like fucking tackles her out of the fucking window and over the balcony. She wakes up again and she's like.
That part was wild when he like linebacked her.
He fucking linebacked her.
I was like, I don't think I've ever seen Michael do that in any other movie where he just runs towards a person and like catches them with his like armpit, like throws them somewhere.
Fully surprised he didn't do a WWE just like move on her, like lift him up over the shoulder.
Yeah, like by her head. I was like, wow, he just full.
This teenage girl, like, what was she gonna do about this?
Yeah,
she wakes up and she like fucking blows his head off, man, and I loved it. I know that Rob Zombie like intended for this to be the last one. He intended for that to be like a headshot, like dead, you know. But as we know with the ACODs, you can't kill Michael Myers. It's not allowed. So
evil does not die tonight.
Evil never dies. No night's evil dies. We kind of like glossed over Malcolm McDowell as Loomis, but yeah, I think he was fine. He was okay. He's not my favorite Loomis, you know. He's not.
He was enough. He was fine. He was good enough.
Yeah.
I thought, I did. No disrespect. Donald Pleasance overdoes it sometimes in some of the
That's the shtick though, like on purpose.
Sure.
Because he like fully did not understand what they were doing.
I have never seen him overact once. Ever.
You know, like to say nothing of him screaming at tiny Jamie Lloyd and shaking her in the bed and being like, "How dare you?
Where is he, Jamie?
Where is he? Michael,
are you gonna slap this child, sir? Like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
I forgot about that. When he shakes Jamie in the bed.
Like,
I'm
This
sorry.
mute child. She's mute.
like,
But you know what? He saw through her. He's like, "This, you weren't mute a month ago. What are you talking about?" Okay.
we just met last movie. You were talking.
He's
to
gonna
fuck.
kill again. Okay. Can
You
please?
must tell me where he is.
So I did appreciate Malcolm McDowell. Like, clearly was like there were parts where he actually did sound like you could tell he was like kind of sounding like Loomis, but I appreciated. Laurie Strode is more interesting than Dr. Loomis, right? We can all agree about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I appreciated that he wasn't as central. Like it was like he was still like a main character, but he wasn't like the central focus, right? Like once we got to Lori was more the focus. And like I appreciated a like Loomis that stays over there a little bit. I did think his death was a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It
was yeah, I mean he was fine, you know, and he died. And we will I don't know. He's okay. I think Malcolm McDowell is kind of like a douchebag as Dr. Loomis, honestly, if I'm being honest. Did you ever see Clockwork Orange, Troy?
Oh yes.
We were talking about, because that's how I know Malcolm McDowell, and I remember watching that as a youngin' and seeing he's in the tidy whities and like somebody grabs his crotch, and I remember being like,
yeah, I was very sexually attracted to him when I was younger. I'll be honest about that.
yeah.
That probably is the source of my bad taste in men. Like it's like
Malcolm McDowell is the source of your bad taste of men? That's very specific.
his character in Clockwork Orange. Like, ooh, you're beating up old people and you're a piece of shit. Oh,
with a penis
so
nose.
fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Heavens to Betsy.
Because I told Zach, like for me, that was like as a kid, as a teenager, that was like my favorite movie. But it was very much like, ooh, there's there's gay shit in here. Ooh.
Yes. Poetry while you kill someone. I love it.
Ooh,
Love it. Okay, so overall, I feel like this movie had the same sort of hype that 2018 had when it first came back around, you know? And like they really like it was an event. It felt like an event when this one was coming out. And when it did come out and like they released this was so successful even on home video that they released like 4 different versions of this on home DVD,
oh, really?
you know, director's, theatrical, 3-disc collector's edition, steelbook. Like it is a very successful movie. And I can't wait to share number 2 with you, Ian. Can't wait to watch it with you. It's gonna be so fun.
Oh God.
I
mean,
yeah.
I hate. I was telling Zach, I hate that it's like, oh, what does Ian dislike now? And I feel like going through these Halloween movies is just a lot of like Zach having fun and being like, isn't this great?
I don't even give a fuck. Do you know what Ian does to me? You know what Ian does to me? He'll make me do.
What does he do?
He 6 episodes on a single Scream movie, okay? We're catching up to how many Halloween movies there are, okay? Do you know how many Scream episodes we did last year?
And how many Scream movies are there? 5. Halloween.
5.
How many Halloweens are
So
there?
we've done 5 normal Scream episodes. We've done 3 for Scream again. And then an extra for Scream again.
No, we didn't do an extra. We did the 3.
A costume design episode. So
Okay,
we have
but that was
now
supposed
done
to be part of
9 episodes for the Scream series. And Lord Jesus, Scream 2 25th anniversary is coming this November. Is it December or is it November?
October, isn't it? Or is it December?
No, it's re-released in October. Don't do that to me.
Oh, okay. The re-release is
Don't do that to
I
me.
am super excited to do that one though because I have a newfound appreciation for Scream 2 and I'm like really excited to
after
talk about
everyone
it.
got mad at me and Zach for like, but I don't think we were that mean about it. We just like,
I think
it's
we
not
were
our
in a
favorite.
really
That's
bad
fine.
mood when we started recording that because we recorded both I Know What You Did Last Summer episodes and then we went into the Scream series and we should not have been starting with any franchises. We should have done a couple like one-offs first.
I hate
yeah.
but I'm a little biased, but Scream does not recast
okay.
and reboot its characters 5 times, and it's like easier to keep track of.
Oh, absolutely.
This like
Absolutely.
franchise, I'm so like, oh.
This is a mess. This franchise is a mess. Laurie
It's a
Strode as a
mess.
character is a mess. And you either just
crazy.
you either just love it or don't. And I think that's okay.
I think the thing that makes Halloween hard too is like it could be like going into it, it could be like a really, really, really great Halloween film. Or I guess just that's like any horror movie that's had so many versions, but or it can be like like bad to the point that you're like, this is insane. Like that Paul Rudd one. It's like, is that even a movie?
Yeah.
The Tyra one. The fucking Tyra
We just did it.
Rhymes,
we just did it. We just.
Oh my
God.
God.
Your whole face just twisted into a face I've never seen before, Troy.
Troy, I was like, I have nothing to say about this movie.
That's what I would prefer is like, I would prefer you hate a movie so much that you have more to say about what you hate about it than nothing. Because it was like, I was trying to drag you through
Troy,
that
what would you say about
like,
Halloween Resurrection?
Lord,
I mean, that is really like that's allegedly a movie. To call that a movie is a legend. That's
a
bad
full
to the
Halloween
point of,
8.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love this movie. I love, especially when we finally get to Laurie Strode. I think it is just so. It's just such a Hollywood movie, you know, done in the weirdest, wackiest Rob Zombie way, and I think that's what I love about it so much. I love the memory I have attached to it. I love how excited I was about getting the fucking DVD, you know, and having to buy all copies of the DVD too. Really.
I love that, Zach.
Yeah.
I absolutely had to. And I was obsessed with like watching Scout Taylor Compton and anything at that point, you know, and I'm so happy that now, you know what my favorite part about like that whole experience for them, not for myself, was that their friendships has carried through, right? And like Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton are like good friends now, have a podcast together.
I appreciate that their age difference is exactly the same as our age difference, Zach.
Exactly. And we have a podcast together as well. You know, we have asked them onto our podcast. They have ignored us.
In
as
time.
happens.
I just love it. And it seems like all of the cast is kind of like, it seems like they had a really great experience making this movie, and they all talk to each other, and they've all been doing like the cons for 15 years now. Is that what the math you did, Ian? It was 15 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
My gay math, so I could be wrong.
And so they have like real good, strong bonds, you know, and they make fun of the new Halloween movies and how they are not involved in it. And I love it, you know, so.
I do really, that's a thing that I do really love. When I interned at BuzzFeed, I like wrote a whole like post about like, oh, the different casts that stayed friends. And like, I think about that a lot because like, it was hard to include Buffy cast members in that post because it was like, ooh, where are they? Like the ones that were actually posting together, especially back then. But like Veronica Mars, they're all friends. You know, they all wanted to do the revival. They all wanted to do the movie. Star Trek: The Next Generation, they all like go to dinner and like post selfies at dinner. And it's not even like just post con. It's like they seem to call each other up and be like, hey, want to get dinner, Patrick Stewart? Yes, I would love to, Michael Dorn, and like post pictures together. And I love that shit. Yeah. Like, doesn't matter what it is, but if it's like, oh, these people worked together 10 years ago and they're still cool. Like, I really enjoy seeing who stays friends and who doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. The scene you hated most and the scene you loved the most, both of y'all.
Troy, you go first.
Okay. The scene that I hated I'm gonna go hate first.
Okay.
The scene that I hated the most was the topless attack of our queen, which is ironic because it's the best alleged death scene in this whole movie. Like, it's the best fight scene, but also so like gross.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna take that back. Since I saw the director's cut, the scene I hated the most was the fucking rape scene. Like, because I had to sit through that. Yeah. It was vulgar and
I'm so sorry. I should have
gross.
sent you a link to the theatrical cut.
Well, the Russian site had what it had.
Oh, okay. You're very correct. I forgot. Yeah.
We get what we get.
I hated that.
This all we get in the gulag.
When you're getting it from Putin, you get what you get. But no, that was the worst. I hated that rape scene in the director's cut. My favorite scene, I think, is probably, even though I just talked shit about it, I do think that the final scene is like great. Like, it's a fun, you know, rip roaring, just old school kind of horror, like old school horror movie ending. I like the ending of this movie. I think they do a good job with it, even though it's a little too long.
Okay.
I
hated the movie and I loved the end credits.
I'm like, which did I hate more?
Oh my God.
I think I think the thing I hated the most was all of the entire opening family scene dialogue.
Yeah.
It was like that argument between the stepdad and the mom. And he's like, I'm gonna crawl over there, you bitch. Oh, you faggot. Oh, this little fairy. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Cunt, bitch. Fuck, shit. It's like, yes, we know you know how to curse. That's so cute, honey. I fucking hated that. That's probably the thing I hated the most.
Yeah.
But there are some strong contenders. I think the thing I liked the most, even though I agree with you both, I do hate the toplessness. I did love the scene where Lori finds Annie, and like Annie's calling out for Lori, and Lori's like panic calling the phone, and like you also see Michael standing there. Like I was waiting for him to like smush Annie's head, but he doesn't. He just kind of is like, you're bloody, and then goes in to attack Lori. But I did really like that. That was maybe the only scene where I was like, found there was tension, because it was like Annie's screaming and like she is like half dead and covered in blood, and you don't know what is going to happen with her. And Michael is standing right there, and like she's calling out for her best friend, but she's also like half dead, so she can't really verbalize like, he is standing here, he is going to kill us. She just can scream. I did think there was like, that was maybe the only scene that was tense for me. That wasn't just like, oh, a murder's happening. So I did like that, but I still do agree with you both that she shouldn't have been topless.
Okay, there you go. I absolutely hate the morning dialogue scene. I think it is like some of the shittiest writing I've ever seen in any sort of movie at all.
The scene that you mean the
yes,
the same
family,
scene? Okay,
yes. Families do not talk like that. Families do not argue like that. Okay, and I think Lori and Annie's attack scene all through to the end is my favorite. Just my favorite. If that's what I used to put on the DVD when I'd pop the DVD and I'd go straight there and just like watch through to the end. It was just so nice for me. So nice.
I think I told you, Zach, right? Like I would get stoned, and once Scream 5 went on Paramount Plus, I would start it from the moment Gail and Sydney walked in. I have watched that last 20 minutes of that movie like 1,000
Paramount
fucking
Plus
times.
does not let him watch the movie anymore. It like stops him.
It, like I feel like it's like I've watched it so much that it just buffers, Troy. When I try to put it on, it'll just buffer, and I'm like, this is homophobic. And I think it's because somehow I watched it so many times.
It's like the streaming version of like playing a disc too much.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I would get, and not even like background, like I would get stoned and like put it on and watch it like it was the first time I fucking watched it. There was like 2 months of me doing that, so I fully understand that, Zach.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, what is everybody else's opinion on 2007 Rob Zombie's Halloween? Are you excited to hear us talk about the next one? I don't know. Whatever questions I have for you, throw up a question, throw up an answer, throw something. We're almost done with the franchisee, and we're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, Halloween's about to end.
That's cute.
Like
Troy, where can everybody find you?
I host a podcast called Beyond the Blinds. You can find us by just searching Beyond the Blinds everywhere. Yeah, and I have another podcast called Dunzo. You can also find that by just searching DUNZO.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And thank you guys for listening, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye.
Bye.